Okay, good to have you join us today on Youth Assembly. Welcome to another interesting edition as we look at the scramble of Nigerian youths for greener pastures abroad. So we see the Japa generation, or whatever they choose to call themselves, trying to migrate to other countries for greener pastures. And we are going to take a look at it with some people who are going to be joining me live from the UK, and they tell us the right way to do it. So every day, many Nigerian youths join long queues in foreign embassies. The applications pile up. They spend time and limited resources to meet visa requirements for all in a desperate bid to travel out of the country. Now, for those who succeed in the movement, is often celebrated because many believe traveling abroad is a ticket to better life and an escape from the Nigerian system they believe is designed to make them feel. Now, the question we intend to ask today is the grass really greener on the other side? We'll hear from our guest today, Mr. Teniola Esan. Mr. Teniola Esan is an MBA student at Imperial College London and a lawyer. Welcome, Mr. Ten. Or Ten.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. We also have Hawa Ocheni. Hawa Ocheni is a scholar at the University of Warwick and also...
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome, Hawa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, so on this edition of Youth Assembly, we're looking at the scramble of Nigerian youths for greener pastures abroad. So, Mr. Teddy, how has it been for you as a Nigerian living outside the country? What has the experience been like?
Yeah, well, I think it's been a double-edged sword. There are ups and there are downs, as with most things. I think that for a lot of people, there's a lot more emphasis on the ups, which is, well, when you're in a different social environment where certain infrastructures exist, right? And that's because of what seems to be more like an honest social contract between the government and the people. So, for example, basic infrastructure works. There hasn't been a power failure. Like that's one of the things you have to get used to, which is constant electricity, because when you've lived in Nigeria for most of your life, right, and then you're in a different country and everything goes silent, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, have they taken light? So that's a very Nigerian thing that you kind of have to unlearn. And then, so you have to adjust some of that. You adjust to drivers having respect for pedestrians, right? So you get to a road and you want to cross, and people are like, "Oh, please go ahead," and you're like, "Ah." So we can talk about the upsides, and I think for the most part, people tend to zoom in on that because you're very much aware of the failings in the environment you're in. But then there are also downsides, and I would want to have a very honest conversation about some of those things. So one of the things is that there's a lot to adjust to, right? In the sense that you go from one struggle in.
Okay.
So you're never going to think about certain things anymore, like either the color of your skin.
Okay. No.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead now. I can hear you now.
Yeah. So I was saying that you're never going to think about the color of your skin. You're never going to think about your nationality. You will never think about those things for the most part in Nigeria. But once you get here, suddenly in certain environments, you realize that, oh, you are not, like, you're really the minority, right? So sometimes, and it happens in a lot of places. Like sometimes you walk into a gym, for example, and you just realize, oh, you're the only Black person here. I've experienced that a lot in the place where I live. And some things you just can't get because, like, the environment is not designed to cater to you. So I haven't, now this may sound very funny, but the only reason why I have an afro on right now is because I haven't found a Nigerian barber in the place where I live in London, right? Because there are not a lot of Black people around there. So, and then you have a slight microaggressions and things like that. So you don't know if someone is being racist to you. You don't know. So some of that you have to calibrate too. So yeah, so
So,
those are
so
very, very
if you have to answer the question, is the grass really greener on the other side where you are? Is it greener compared to Nigeria?
I think some parts of the of the lawn may look greener, and if you want to focus on that, yes, definitely. Um, so yeah, so of course, if I were to choose, I definitely would rather be abroad. In the short term, I don't know if that applies in the long term, but as a young person, because I know how little attention the state infrastructure is channeled towards the development of youths, right? Then it's better for me to channel or to tap into resources available in other environments that are designed to help people like me
Okay.
develop, because my country isn't really doing so much for young
All right,
people.
that is
So
one
I think that would
argument
be my.
that ensued on Twitter recently, where even some high and mighty on Twitter space actually recommended for Nigerian youths to, if they have the opportunity to go and get, like what you said, get more knowledge, equip themselves with the skills they need to come back here and do better, they should. But let's hear from Hawa. Hawa Ocheni, who is also a scholar at the UK. Thank you also for joining. What would you say is a grass greener at where you are compared to Nigeria?
Well, I'd say the grass is greener where you water it.
Mm,
Um, I'm a Nigerian, and a Nigerian at heart. I've actually really traveled a lot, and coming to UK here, like Teniola said, it's like you get a bit of a cultural shock. Right now,
okay.
the temperature where I am is 0 degrees. It snows
Mm,
here. These are things that you don't get in Nigeria. And as a black woman, as a black person, my natural etymology is Nigerian. We're Africans. We are made to, grew up in our country. So you need to take things like vitamin C, vitamin D, to boost up your immune system. And like Daniela said, his hair is afro because he hasn't found somewhere to cut his hair. Actually, I also do like stuff on my hair by myself, because both in London and in Coventry, where I am, Warwick, I haven't really found, a place to plait my hair, which is something very strange. So like what you said, coming abroad, like I always tell people that travel is the key to knowledge. When you travel, you broaden your horizon, you're open to different frontiers. So you meet different people from different walks of life. But to say the grass is greener here, I'll definitely not say that. The grass is greener where you water it. I was telling somebody this morning that I actually do miss Nigeria. I feel nostalgic. The weather is very cold. You're alone. There's nowhere like home. Even like Nigerians are happy people. You look on social media, there's always something to make you laugh. But here, you're taking long walks in the woods. You're just trying to
Mhm.
make, there's this solitude, there's this solemnness, there's this soberness. So you're really alone. It's like a time to introspect. So I'd say come here to introspect and go back to Nigeria, and just, be who you are. I miss Nigeria actually.
mm.
Amen, sister.
Well,
Like that's that's a reality.
you do too. You do miss Nigeria also. But some people will
Yeah,
say
like
it doesn't matter. Let me get there first. We see all of those comments, especially from the argument earlier this year. The first thing that trended on the 1st of January was basically things around relocation abroad, writing exams to go abroad, and people telling their stories about, especially the culture shock you mentioned. But do you think people, Nigerians, who feel like going abroad is a guarantee for success, is a conversation that should go on?
Going abroad is not a guarantee for success. I think it's innate in human beings that what you don't have, you strive for. Like I've traveled before, but this is actually my first time of coming to the UK. And coming to the UK, I wouldn't really say that there's that paradigm shift in how my life is going to become. It is true that I've gained a lot of knowledge. I've met a lot of people. There's diversity here and all that. But to say that, coming here, maybe Nigeria is a place where you should flourish. And I think this stems from the fact that we were colonized. So we haven't been completely decolonized of that mentality. People feel that, okay, because you know right from time immemorial, we were affiliated to Oxford University, Cambridge University. We wrote our O levels, A levels from the Oxford University, Cambridge University. So everybody still has, most Nigerian youth still have that mentality. Oh, let me write these exams, maybe I'll be able to go there and make something better of my life. But then you come here and then you see the harsh reality. Some things you couldn't be doing in Nigeria, sweeping the streets, being a bus driver, you see Nigerians doing it here, and then you ask them the question, do you want to go back home? So it's like you're between a rock and a hard place.
But when you ask that question, do you want to go back home? I mean, the people who are there, who are saying that coming there is different, that you will miss home and all of the issues that surround new migrants in a new country. But they will say that, let me get there first before I come back. So some concerned Nigerians are worried that Nigeria would lose the best of their minds to other countries if something is not done to encourage the youth to stay. What do you think, Mr. Teniola, should be done to encourage youths in Nigeria to stay home instead of relocating abroad? I mean, as I say it now, I know somebody is actually frowning. Why would I stay?
Yeah, so I don't think that I'm going to come from this from a different angle.
Okay.
I don't think you should be encouraged to, right? And that's because it's been my observation that we really, as Africans or as Nigerians, we're not very global in our perspective, right? So when I hear people say things like, "Oh, if everybody should travel abroad, who will stay to develop Nigeria?" You can't say that to an American. You can't say that to a Chinese person. But there are a lot more Americans in my class. There are a lot more Chinese people in my class. I'm only African. Like, I'm literally the only person who came in from Africa to my class. So my observation is that we are very domestic, or we're very, how do I put it? We're very municipal in our location, as it were. So we should actually be traveling a lot more.
Okay.
So I think that's one thing I want to put out there. We don't travel as much in general. You don't see Nigerians go to India for a field trip to just see what life is like over there. You don't see a lot of Nigerians go to maybe Russia or wherever. But what you find is that you have American young people who say, "Oh, I'm done with college. I want to spend a week in the Alps. I want to spend 2 weeks in Madrid," and different things like that, to just have that global experience. You don't have that so much. It'll be to squeezing out people to say, "Stay here," attempts to ensure that you don't travel like the way other people do. So the process of getting a visa is much more difficult in Nigeria. I remember when I was having the discussion with my class group and I said I had to have a visa interview, and they were like, "What's that?" So so imagine that. So, and then you have certain prejudices against your passport, etc. So I don't necessarily agree with the idea that you should be in quote encouraged to stay home. They should be encouraged to travel the world. So that's one part of the discussion.
All right, so we have some comments already. Simon Matthias says, a lot of cases, I think, it avails a much better option and road path to much better life for an average Nigerian. I think he's answering the question, why Nigerians, does moving abroad guarantee success? So he's saying lots of cases, it avails a much better option and road path to much better life for an average Nigerian. And then he went on to say, would you rather stay in Nigeria considering the weather and because we are happy people? He's asking that question. So a lot of people are not just, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think how was
okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to respond to the person who is saying, would I rather stay in Nigeria because of the weather? I mean, it's not a coincidence that we're Nigerians. I mean, we were designed to be Nigerians. That's our natural etymology. That is where we flourish and all that. And like Teniola said, we should be encouraged to travel. But travel for what? It should be deliberate and it should be purposeful. You should travel for a reason, not just for the sake of traveling to UK or US to show on Instagram, Facebook, or social media. Why don't we start from like traveling to places like Benin Republic, Ouagadougou, Ghana? That is also traveling abroad. But the average
Yep.
Nigerian youth, they don't want to
Yep.
explore what is around them. They just you are. It's like I
Yep.
have a neighbor. I don't want to go to my neighbor's house, but I just want to. I'm living in Wuse Zone 6. I'm not going to my neighbor's house in Wuse Zone 5, but I'll travel all the way to Metama and Asokoro, which doesn't make sense to me. You should travel for what travel actually is. But a lot of Nigerian youth, because they just have it, we have this mentality which has not completely been decolonized. We just
Which
feel
is
Yep.
that going to European countries is actually better. And like you talked about Chinese people. Chinese people are model citizens because they obey the rules and regulations in their country. They don't even want to leave China. So if you're happy with your country, you're content with who you are, that will also project on other people giving you the visa. But the average Nigerian youth is desperate. We're desperate. You smell this desperation around them when they're going for their visa interview, which is actually not good. And then you have this issue of would they come back? UK government or the European countries, they don't want us to be a liability on their economy. So that's why they don't want Nigerians to come.
Well, the rate of visa rejections or denials given to Nigerians is high, especially when, like you mentioned, that are you going to come back? That is usually the reason people get denied visa, because they are not. It's not clear what you're going to do. But what should Nigerians have in mind if they plan to relocate? What should be the plan for them going abroad?
Like I said, you should be deliberate and intentional about your focus in life. Like I'm here today, I'm definitely going to go back because I have an itinerary for how my life, how I want my life to be, all else being equal. I mean, if there's anything that this COVID-19 pandemic has taught us is to, introspect more on our lives. The whole world is, grappling with this coronavirus pandemic. And then you say you want to, run from Nigeria because, the weather in Nigeria is not good. The things in Nigeria are not working. I do agree with the people who say, the basic infrastructures are not working. So what we ought to be doing is to, put fire to the feet of the government, to fix basic stuff. Like Teniola said, since I came here in the beginning of September, there hasn't been any power outage, which is something that we're supposed to have gone past in Nigeria, but we're still there. We have people still using generators. Generators are something that people don't know over here. So we should be fixing our own instead of, looking onto what other people have. So that's my own take on this.
Teniola. So most Nigerian youths have.
Yeah. Do you mind if I jump in on that?
Okay, on what she said. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I may differ slightly, which is fine. Like I'm I have like a different perspective. So I would go back to 1776, Adam Smith, right? And in economic terms, it is well accepted that labor moves to the location paying me 100,000 naira in Nigeria for something that someone in America is going to pay me $100,000 for. So from a labor perspective, it makes a lot more sense for me to move to that location in order for my efforts to be better appreciated. So I think that's something to keep in mind. But what I was going to say is that in this narrative there are two categories of Nigerians, right? And I would say that there's the one category of Nigerians who are looking to expand their horizons, who are looking to reach out to more opportunities and play at a global level. Then there's the other category of Nigerians who want to run away from their country under the impression that there's paradise outside. So I want to separate these two groups, because if we mix them together, then we get a very strange result. So what happens is that with one category of Nigerians, they're looking to do things the proper way, expand their horizons, go to the best schools, find the best opportunities, so that they can play at the same level as the rest of the world. You understand? Become a global citizen, be able to move internationally, be able to deliver services in any location at any point in time. So that's one category. There's the other category that believes that everything abroad is better than everything back home. And I don't agree because I think that's a category of people who get abroad and they get disillusioned very quickly. Because, for example, I've had people who are trying to get admission into universities in the UK. I have nothing against these universities, but if you check the university rankings, these university rankings are actually lower ranked than universities in Nigeria, right? But for them, the main attraction is, okay, once I can just japa and then so that, you understand. So then they now your time to stay is over, and then you are looking for how to squeeze yourself somewhere. You're not documented and all of that. That is not a road I advise anyone to go down. There are more people who suffer through that kind of means than the people who maybe eventually may do something shady and then be able to integrate into the system. I really don't recommend it, but I can't judge anyone for the decisions that they make in their life. So I just want to make that distinction. I think that for anyone who's looking for a scholarship, who's really trying to upskill, who's really trying to upgrade themselves and play at an international level, I'm fully in support of that. For the other class of people, abroad is not paradise.
But when you look at what social media gives, what people portray on social media of their life abroad, one would say, well, it is a picture well painted. I want to get there and buy the houses. I want to get there and drive the biggest cars that you can see in Nigeria like that, and even have the best life. So with this picture that's being painted, from your experience, would you say life abroad is really what we see on social media or different? How?
Yeah, I would like to first of all tell you that most of the things we see on social media is just social media. It's just gimmicks. It's not true. It's just somebody's imagination of how they want. Most of them is how they want life to be. And most Nigerians here, I'd say 80% of Nigerians here do not have vehicles, because maintenance of vehicles, the whole lot of regulations that come with having cars and all that. The train system works, the transportation system works, so many people prefer to go on public transports and all that. So you have to look at where you're coming from. Like in Nigeria, some people would never ever use an Uber for any reason, and you come here, you're walking miles to go to the train station, you're walking miles to go to the bus station and all that. So it's a way of living. And then, okay, one thing I find good about living here, it keeps a check on your health. Because in Nigeria, you don't go on Ubers, you don't go on buses, but here you have to walk. It brings you become humble. You become, everybody is at par with you. Everybody is at par with you. I wouldn't be surprised if I see Tony Blair, or
Yes.
David Cameron on the bus. It's something normal. But I can guarantee you, I would never see Muhammadu Buhari in any bus station or something like that. So I just believe it's your mentality, is your perspective on life, is what you want. Like Teniola said, what do you want from life? You have to know what you want from life. Know yourself before you know whether you're able to take the next move. It's as small as I live in Abuja. For me to be able to go into Nasarawa, what do I want from Nasarawa? If I don't know what I want from going from Abuja to Nasarawa, I can't even talk about coming abroad.
So if you just have the answer to that question, I just want to have a better life, is that not enough to travel and live abroad?
Better life is fleeting, because you come here. Okay, in Nigeria, I had family. I could call anybody. I could go to anybody's house, but there's no light. But I was happy in my darkness. But here I come. There's electricity everywhere. There's everything. I love the weather here. It snows and all that. But am I really happy? Is the life really actually better? Because what makes life better? Life, your network is your net. Yes, if you have good network, you will be able to be catapulted into the global arena. Yes, that's one of the reasons I'm here. I'm here for a better education in international development law and human rights. I've been able to expand my networking frontiers, which I wouldn't have been able to do while I was back home. But while I was back home, I had friends, I had families, which kept me happy. So it's a win-win situation. It's actually it requires a lot of sacrifice. You sacrifice a lot of things. You just have to be by force independent. You have to have this independence, independence of mind, independence of thought, which I've actually learned by coming here. So it's a win-win situation.
Well, some Nigerian youths will do anything to get abroad. Some people will actually secure admission into universities, pay huge sums of amounts, and travel abroad to study. But when they are studying, they fall out. They leave the study and decide to do other things, menial jobs, just to make ends meet. Why do you think this happens, Teniola?
Yeah, so like I was saying, the government loves it when you do that. Like the UK government absolutely loves it because you have these schools you have a lot of schools that are set up specifically just to collect Nigerian people's money, because as long as you have that paradise mentality, right, there's going to be someone who's going to collect your money. So yeah, so like I've been saying, when you have that mentality, um when they get here, right, they realize that things are a lot different from what they may have imagined, right? And then, but like I said, I do encourage everyone who wants to travel abroad to do so. And I want to restate that I don't buy into the notion that anyone should sit back at home, because that is not what the rest of the world is doing. And I describe it as there's a big international party that is going on, and it's almost like we're not on the guest list, right? So I encourage anyone who wants to travel abroad to do so. However, if you are under the impressions that abroad is a kind of paradise, and then you just reach here and then, oh, money, you just see money on the road, you just picking it and everything. Like the way to shock you like high voltage wire. So yeah, so people, when they get here, they realize that you have to struggle, especially when you don't have those kind of the social capital that Hawa was talking about, right? And then it's almost no different from Nigeria, to be honest. Like there are parts of London, sadly, like the kind of stories you hear in that part, it's like, never been to Southeast London, no offense, but like I've heard a lot of negative stories, and sadly there are also a lot of Nigerians there. So it's a troubling
When you say
kind of
negative
situation.
stories, you mean committing crimes or what?
Yeah, so things like crime rates, social infrastructure. So the social infrastructure there is a lot lower. And then some of these things, it's like, oh, what do you describe as the hood, right? Or in quotes, the ghetto, right? But and then also, I just want to throw this in. There are ways you can suffer abroad that you can't suffer in Nigeria, right? Because in Nigeria, the worst you can be is homeless, right? And then you're sleeping by the roadside. But you don't want to be sleeping by the roadside in winter when the cold alone can kill you. Like that's a different level. So
That's
and
the
for
thing, Teniola. You can't be homeless in Nigeria. That is why I don't advise. That is why I disagree with you when you say you should travel if you have to travel. It's almost as if Nigerians are not on the guest list. You see, the evils is that you have ghettos, like you talk about Southeast London, which led to the death of Adi Taylor in 2000, if you can still remember. When you have a concentration of people who are not meaningfully employed, meaningfully engaged in a location, that's what you get. I mean, in Nigeria, we always have this thing of, I can sleep if I go into Lagos now and I need to call a friend or a relative. I can easily do that. You can't do that here. You have to be notifying somebody 1 month or weeks before you come to their house, if they would even agree. So if you don't have anything to do in the UK, why come to the UK? You don't have to travel. If you want to travel for the purposes of getting knowledge, why not travel to your neighboring countries? Why not go to Ghana? Why not explore West Africa? Most Africans, most Nigerians, you ask them who's the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, they don't know. You ask them who's the president of Benin Republic, they don't know.
True.
You ask them what's
True.
the capital of Benin Republic, they'll tell you Cotonou, and it's not Cotonou, it's Port Novo. Why don't we study?
But some
Why don't
people
we
will argue with you that if you say that, they won't just be happy with you. Like, they have to go to where there are better opportunities. If I'm going to school, I will go to where after schooling I should get better job offers instead of going to the neighboring West African countries like you suggested. What do you?
Legon University is very good. We have excellent
Yeah, I think
universities in Egypt. We have excellent universities in Egypt. We have excellent universities in South Africa, Pretoria, which is a center for human rights. You know, like Teniola said, there's some universities in UK. I'm not belittling any university. Some Nigerian universities and Ghanaian universities and Egyptian universities are higher ranking than UK university. I mean, UK universities. Teniola and I are talking because Teniola is from one of the Russell Group universities, which is Imperial College of London, and I'm from Warwick University. There's some university you go to that you ask people, why did you come to this university? You're coming from a nation like Nigeria. Why go to these universities just because you want to be seen to go abroad? It doesn't make sense. So that's why I keep on saying, when you travel abroad, you should be deliberate. You should be intentional about your travel. What are you aiming to get there? You shouldn't go out there to smear your name. I mean, you don't have anything to do just because you believe life is better abroad. Then you just venture into the wilderness. Some people are even crossing the Mediterranean Sea. Some people are being trafficked, and NAPTIP is just trying to get back girls and younger ones back into Nigeria. It's not nice. It's not nice. We smell of desperation. Teniola knows that. Teniola knows that living in London is not easy. It's not easy. It's just that the people abroad will not want to tell you the truth, but that is the truth. You need finances. You need finances. You can't call up an uncle in London. Uncle, please, can you give me 1,000 naira? Nobody's going to give you 1,000
by yourself. But in Nigeria, we can call anybody, right? Okay, but before we go, we need to round up. Teniola, this one is for you. But Nigeria, we still have a large diasporan population that are doing well, and it might not be possible to convince everyone to stay back in Nigeria. So how do you think the government can engage and support the Nigerian youths for those Nigerians in diaspora for national development? Teniola.
To be clear, to engage Nigerians in the diaspora for national development?
Yes.
Sorry, was that the question?
Yes. How do you think the government can support and engage the Nigerians in diaspora for national?
Okay, so yeah, so I think that almost seems like a trick question. The government itself needs to be on a contract that exists in Nigeria. Sadly, the Nigerian government does not operate in the interest of the people, because the social welfare, in terms of, like, look at the per capita allocation to human development, and you see it all the time. There's a lot more being spent on whatever projects the government thinks is worthwhile than is being invested in the actual development of people. And that's what reflects directly in the economy, right? So you have people who are largely disempowered. And that's because the system tends to favor, it's more power centric, right? So you have people who are more preoccupied with being in power, staying in power, and doing whatever agenda is necessary to secure that power. So that is being done at the expense of the well-being of the people, and the young people are frustrated by it. So it starts from the government being honest about its objectives, right? And that's a whole nother conversation, to be honest, because the current structure does not allow for young people to thrive, and that's why I understand fully well anyone who wants to go abroad, who wants to see greener pastures, and you have a right to. So that being said, in terms of Nigerians in the diaspora, but that resource can only be channeled if the government is honest about its objectives. So, and what does that mean? It means someone like me, who is an MBA, who is learning the fundamentals of economics and how to run an economy properly, right? in order for me to be able to use my skill set within the Nigerian terrain, I need to know that the government is really committed to allowing me use that skill set within the Nigerian terrain, and it's not going to botch everything I'm doing through whatever system of what you call it, of is it corruption or whatever it is, right? Where things don't just operate in a straight manner. Right. So there has to be that honesty in actually getting things done, because you are dealing with people who are in systems that work in a relatively more straightforward manner. So they need that sincerity of purpose to be able to exercise their talents and skills in the Nigerian terrain. So I think that's how I would speak to that issue.
Thank you so much.
Otherwise, we just stay abroad.
Yes, Mr. Teniola. Okay, we have so many comments. We have some comments from and Nancy is saying hi. Hello, Teniola Esan, you've spoken well. Simon Matthias says, as a professional, there are lots we crave for. A global sphere would avail much better growth. I'm an ICT engineer, and here I do a lot and learn little. I see my JD in like 6 types of jobs over there. I see myself doing a lot and be appreciated with little. I do little programming, help desk, system engineering, server admin, and lots more just in one job. Over there, that's 8 people's job. I wouldn't want to stay, or I wouldn't want to say what I earn doing all this. So that is another valid point there. So Simon Matthias, thank you for your comments. Expansion and professional growth is key for us all, he went on to say. Thank you so much for your comments. And he's saying, thank you, my brother. You have made my day, bro. That is tense. Over to you. But Hawa, also, what would you advise Nigerian youths that intend going abroad to leave or study?
If you want to study, if you want to go abroad to study, go abroad to study. But for example, Teniola said he's a lawyer, and I'm also a lawyer. And we know that for example, if you want to practice law here, you have to convert your bar degree. So it depends on what you're doing. If you're a medical doctor, the terrain is different. If you're an engineer, if you're a lawyer, you have to be called to their bar. There are a lot of documentations you need to do, and you don't want to be caught as like a culprit, find yourself in their prisons. So if you have better job prospects, by all means do leave. But if you do not have jobs, please stay back in Nigeria and try to do something and carve a niche for yourself in Nigeria. That's what I would say to you. Just weigh your pros and cons before you decide to leave, and get ready for the cultural shock. Be able to. What did you say?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hawa Uchenni. Hawa Uchenni is a scholar.
I said Nigeria hard. It's like I'm forgetting maybe the London weather.
The culture shock, right? Okay. So Hawa Uchenni is a scholar at the University of Warwick and also a lawyer. And we also had Teniola Esan, who is an MBA student at the Imperial College London and a lawyer also. Thank you for choosing to do this with us. I mean, a lot of Nigerian youths are inspired. Simon Matthias is one of them. I mean, I won't be surprised if I see Simon abroad next year or this year. Good luck to everyone who wants to travel and those who prefer to stay in Nigeria. Whatever it is, make sure you're doing the right thing and you have the good plan to migrate. My name is Sylvia Ishebe. I'll be back tomorrow for another interesting edition of Youth Assembly. The show was put together by Ihoma UKJ and supervised by Ehi Ohiane. Thank you. And please share this video and continue to listen to us on www.clickniger.net. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
And enjoy your day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye for now.
Bye.